Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, an irreplaceable player and an expendable player. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And holy smokes, folks, we got a really good one lined up here for you tonight. Oh my gosh. It's like we got everybody's back in the house and okay. In tonight's episode, an irreplaceable player and an expendable player. And my man Lance, you put out two great articles this week again, on top of the two great articles you put out last week. That unfortunately we didn't get to, but we were cut in by Mr. Len Red Coals, and I'll tell you what, man, that was an amazing show, and big thank you to Len for dropping in, and he is welcome anytime.
For sure. That was a very interesting show. He just, when he started asking him questions, he just, told so many great stories. And, he's one of those guys that you could have on, once a week, and he would tell you new ones every single time. So
exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure. That was just way cool. And I can't wait to actually meet him in person. You know what I mean? And that's going to be really cool, too. And I'd like to see him come back on the show, too, because he has a lot more great stuff to share, too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so. For sure. We'll have to get him back on sometime soon. So
he said he had fun.
Yeah.
He really said he had fun. He was like, he wasn't expecting it to be good, but he really had fun and he really liked it. And so, all right, cool.
Well, yeah. On his end, he'd never really done anything like this before, so he was a little nervous and didn't know really what to expect. But once you got him talking about something that he loves, and off he went for sure. So
awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Big thank you to Len for last week's show. But let's get into this week's show. What do you think?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. An irreplaceable player and an expendable player. And I think we're going to get into the expendable player first, just because that was mentioned last in the title. And in the first article that we're going to talk about on the show, why the Flyers' Zack MacEwen playing this season made Nicolas Aube-Kubel not only expendable, but obsolete. Posted just the other day on FlyersNittyGritty.com. And Lance, man, this article was just right on time for just when Nat cleared waivers. I always love when you break down a player, and this was no exception on this one, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I was just telling one of my friends today, my writing style and how some people that tend to read my stuff, why they really like it, and this article is fitting because it follows suit. Yeah, it follows suit in what I like to do. I like to.
Nice play on words. Follow suit. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So of course, NAK, a 2014 second round pick of the Flyers. When he was drafted, he really was thought to be a scorer in juniors in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. He was a 40 goal scorer, or just shy of, and an 80-point player every year down there. He really looked destined to bring some little firepower to the team and a spark for sure. And he did that in Lehigh as well. When he went to Lehigh, he really excelled with the Phantoms and was brought up pretty quickly to the Flyers, and with the hopes that he would be able to do the same thing, and it didn't happen. I think he fell into a role that the Flyers didn't fill, didn't have on their roster currently. So in order to stay up with him, I think he tried to mold his game to something that it wasn't before. He was an energy guy, of course. I loved his enthusiasm, his play. When he stepped out on the ice, he really, really went after it, and I can respect that. But there's a thin line between that and reckless abandon, and that's kind of what he developed into.
Yeah.
And he had great speed, he had great hustle, and definitely he finished checks, which is was rare for of course the past couple seasons with the Flyers, and with those qualities, it afforded him the ability to jump up in the lineup when needed at times, and but it was that lack of discipline in a sense that sent him right back down to the fourth line. He, like maybe Zack Ronaldo would be a good comparison before him, had that great energy, but ran a little bit around and delivered some dirty hits and slashed and made some bad stick penalties holding the stick and when he got beat, and just stuff that's going to get you caught by the referee every single time. And after a while, we all know that Zack Ronaldo developed a likeness and a fineness from the referees to call his number or his name. And once you have that, it's really, really hard to shake that. And NAK just developed that same thing last season as well. He had a couple bad kneeing penalties, just some dirty stuff, and that just can't really happen. You can't you can't help your team from inside the penalty box unless you take somebody there with you.
Oh, okay, that's right. And he's just not.
And he
was just dumb penalties.
He wasn't doing that. And call it what you want, but I think Chuck Fletcher really stepped in at the beginning of the season, and he kind of had that thought process of, hey, this guy may not really work out, and that's why he was able to claim Zack MacEwen from Vancouver, and he's really stepped in and really, really has brought that same kind of game, but smart, and does it better. He's 6'3" and 205 pounds compared to NAK's 5'11" and 187 pounds, and plays that same kind of game. He's able to take to the body and really crash the boards. He's really able to get in there and dig some pucks out of the corners, win some puck battles, get the puck out of the zone, and does it all cleanly. And, that's really what made, NAK both, like I said, expendable and obsolete. He was no longer needed here because Zack, came in and did all those things that NAK was praised for the past couple of years, but he's done so smartly. If you look at his penalty history over the years, the majority of Zack's penalties, he's only has like 80 penalty minutes, and I think 70 of them are for fighting. So
he definitely doesn't have a problem dropping the gloves.
He doesn't have a problem dropping the gloves. In fact, he tried to with Calgary, but nobody really wanted to square off with him. So with that, you got to think that 10 penalty minutes over the course of his whole career have been minor penalties. other than that, he's brought guys into him. So he's either going out there getting in a fight to protect one of his teammates and stand up for him, or just to really get the crowd back into it. Maybe they were down by a goal or something like that, and he's scrounged up a fight to really get the crowd back into it, get that noise back into it, and get the momentum running for the team. And that's a big difference from what NAK was doing when, once a period at least, he was found to be in the penalty box for tripping or cross-checking or taking a knee to somebody or something like that. So holding the stick, whatever the case may be, it was just it was just some really bad habits that developed, and not that player that the Flyers thought they drafted,
he definitely
years ago. So
he definitely didn't turn out to be that.
I really hope the best for him out in Colorado. I think that's a great place for him. Yeah. It's a good team that he's going to. Yeah. And hopefully they're able to utilize him correctly and really turn his play around, because I do think he's an electric player, but he's just got to stay out of the box. And I really hope him wish him all the best. And but I really like MacEwen's play, and I hope he sticks around for next season because he does everything well. And picking that number 17 to wear, I mean, with Brindamore and Simmons and so many great players wearing that number over the years, that's a tall order if you're going to wear that number. And I think
he's pretty good.
Right. I think so far that he's done it justice. Maybe he's not scoring the goals that those players did as well, but he's really going out there and giving it his all. And I think they'll come, but I really don't expect him to score that many either because the top two lines are really producing and like they should. So he's doing his job, and, NAK can go do his job maybe and be more of an offensive threat for Colorado. Good riddance and good luck.
Yeah.
Time.
Tell us how you really feel. I mean, geez, man.
Right. I mean, great guy.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Great player, but his time here just
wasn't.
Is
up. His time here was up. And that's just the way it is. And that's the thing where MacEwen is grabbing guys and helping to escort guys into the penalty box without him going, unless he's fighting them. Whereas NAK was the guy going into the penalty box, not the opposition.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I also agree too that I like Zack's game because he is that bigger player. Mm-hmm. And he is on that. He is a great Philadelphia Flyer fourth line player. I mean, I couldn't even, if you want to put a picture of a Philadelphia Flyer fourth line player, winger, right? Put a picture of Zack out there, right? Because we were talking about it, like him and Lawton got those cheesy mustaches going too, they got that 70s mustache thing happening, right? It's like
it is November, so I think
I'm with you, but so no, we were just
I think both those players really stepped it up last game as well. I really like the chippiness, the ability to get in there and hey, somebody's standing in front of the net or somebody takes a dirty swing after the play. Those two players, Lawton especially, last against Calgary now, depending on when you see this, it was great to see those guys jump in and stand up and Nick Seeler as well. So
exactly. Yeah. And that's the other thing too. I've been pleasantly surprised by MacEwen's play so far on the fourth line. Like we said, we feel that, gosh, what a cheap pickup he was. I mean, gosh, he's what is he making? $750,000 for the season,
Yeah.
right? So
Some
big
guys
time.
down, some guys down in the AHL are, making that kind of money. And I think even if they sign him back for what NAK, around $1 million next season or something like that, hey, great, or thus after his contract's up, so great, double his salary. I don't care, at that price, why not?
Yeah, right. You know what else too? I think is something else that I mean, you did point out a lot of differences between Knack and MacEwen, especially in your article. But one of the things that I think that I would like to point out too is that you do point out the how Zack has come in and definitely fit into the perfect role as a fourth line center or fourth line winger. But what I like is that him and Nate Thompson seem to have kind of formed a little bit of chemistry.
I think so.
Okay, where you can start to see these guys start, especially the fourth line. The fourth line for the Flyers, it doesn't matter who's on it. As long as you've got MacEwen and Thompson down there, it doesn't matter whoever the other winger is, it doesn't matter.
Well, I like Thompson this year. When he was here before, I liked what he brought or what I thought he was going to bring, but he really is a lot more solid player this year, and I think he is allowed to do what he does best. Yeah. And maybe he was restrained a little bit when he was here before, but I really like Patrick Brown as well.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are sleeping on him still, and I don't see why. The kid hustles. He's got a little bit of a shot. He does all the right things, guys, and he's playing some big minutes there, and not making many mistakes, and that's really the whole point of the fourth line. They want to get out there, they want to prevent goals, they want to give rest to your top talent so they don't have to run 3 lines all night long because their fourth line's incapable of being able to stay out on the ice for any length of time without either getting a penalty or giving up a goal. These guys, out of everybody, they seem to be the ones that were in the offensive zone.
Yeah, for the most time.
For the most time. A lot of play, especially versus the Flames, was neutral zone, like right in center ice area, back and forth. But when
Calgary's game.
Yeah, and they're good at it, and that was a really, really good game because Calgary was big. They finished their checks. They're aggressive. They're gonna get in there. They're grinding, and I think the Flyers did well. Especially even your favorite player Braun being smart enough to take Tkachuk with him for a penalty. Taking the best player off of the ice, I'll take that kind of penalty anytime. Yeah, I'll take that kind of penalty any day when you can get their best player off of the ice when you're not the best player. He's definitely stepped up this season as well in Braun. So with Ellis going out yet again. So
trust me, dude, I have eaten plenty of crow when it comes to Justin Braun, but my concern now is we need to bring in some guys to help him and get him off of that top line. Okay. Yeah. Because, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Justin Braun, but he doesn't have the tools to maintain this level at where he's at. And I don't want there to be any drop off. And then because I don't want there to be any drop off in his confidence, right? If the guy's playing well, then you keep him playing well. You keep putting him in successful situations. If he's not going to, when you start to see him start to drop off, start putting him in a different line. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Start giving him less responsibilities or whatever the case is. Right. Give him that extra couple minute break or whatever the case. Don't be playing him 20 minutes a game. Play him, 15 or whatever. I mean, those are the kinds of things that coaches can do to help their players be successful. You know what I'm saying? During the game. during the game. Once you're out off the game, once you're not in the game anymore, that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? So, but I gotta say this though, yet another example of an obsolete Hextall pick replaced by a Fletcher free agent pickup on the cheap here.
Yeah.
I mean, another example of why you're the writer extraordinaire, my man, because nail it every single time, man. I love when you break down these kinds of things. And this is exactly what I think was holding the Flyers back last year, was these types of players that were expected to do better, play better, have a better role, have a more advanced role, and then they just didn't show up. And Fletcher was like, well, guess I got to go get some guys that can.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked numerous times about that, how this season, he's really went out and checked off all the boxes that needed to be checked and restructured this team a little bit to fit a better playoff mold too. I mean, MacEwen's going to be huge come the playoffs when it gets physical. Nate Thompson's going to be a huge player in the playoffs when it comes time. During a 7-game series, it gets pretty gritty. Resto, is going to be. What do you have? 9 hits last night. Yeah, 9 hits.
He has been quietly playing a much better game that he has ever played in Buffalo.
Well, I think he's being utilized correctly, and I think that he is confident in his play now, and he's confident in this system, and you're seeing him start to creep into the offensive zone a little bit more as the games go on as well, and you're starting to see that play that he can stick handle a little bit, and he can shoot that puck on net. So once he gets his full game going, I think fans are, if they haven't already, I think they're going to fall in love with him. So
I'm with you on that for sure. Even our buddy Jimmy mentioned it the other night in the game too, that starting to see Ristolainen step up a little bit more in the offensive zone. You know what I mean? So We're all starting to notice that now. Where he's starting to pinch in a little bit more. And that, hey, look, I'm all for guys pinching in.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But only if there's other guys that are going to be disciplined to cover. Right, so that means you need to have a winger or somebody drop back and cover for you if you're down. So that's what I'm talking. Then if you don't have that guy disciplined, that's going to stay back while you're down, then it doesn't really matter if you're down. You're hurting the team then at that point, because you're at that point you'd be better off as the defenseman instead of having a winger slot over there to cover while you're down. See, that's where I think the whole situation with the team was affected last year, was because of that. They were trying to be and do something that they just couldn't be and do.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't that team, and they didn't have the talent to be that team. And they tried really hard. But that just wasn't the case. You know what I mean? So. All right, my man. What do you think, man? We'll move on to the next little awesome gem that the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer extraordinaire has dropped on us.
I don't know how little it was. It was quite lengthy, I think. The editor kind of commented on that.
Oh, really? I was like, hey, how many words is this one out? No, but
right.
See, this is things, and this is another reason. Gosh, dude, just posted yesterday, so this one's still a little wet on flyersnittygritty.com. Another perfect article, as always. 3 potential replacements in case the Flyers' Claude Giroux decides to play elsewhere next season. And this is the other part of the episode named The Irreplaceable Player. And I have to tell you, I have not really pondered this until now.
Hmm.
I mean,
I don't think a lot of people want to ponder this.
okay, see, all right, yeah. And this article that you just put out just kind of put it right here. So thank you for that, Mr. Green.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't think too many people, from what I heard, they didn't want to ponder this, and rightfully so.
But planning for the future now,
you have to.
Makes sense.
You have to sit there and always have your ducks in a row just in case. So I think with Claude Giroux's play this season, nobody wants to see him go next season. I think the Flyers finally went out and got him players to play with that complement him, that aren't carbon copies of him like maybe Voracek was. You can't have two of the same player. Yeah, it didn't make any sense for a long time. Now you're seeing Cam Atkinson. Now you're seeing Joel Farabee. Now you're seeing TK really trying to step their game up. But over the course of the last 15 seasons, Claude Giroux's been a Flyer. And like him or not, he's been one of the best point-producing players the Flyers have ever had. And in saying that, he's a pending unrestricted free agent at the end of the season. To start out this season, even before the season started, both him and Fletcher were talking and had brief discussions on a possible extension. In Giroux, he chose to halt negotiations and said he'd rather discuss it later in the season. So ponder on that and take with that a grain of salt or as much as you want, but they both mutually agreed to stall conversations for now and come back at us another time later in the year. Now, somebody 15 seasons with the team, I'm pretty sure with the amount of points and the C that he wears on his chest and his face being on the billboards hanging outside of the arena, I think that he can pretty much get anything that he wants as long as it's relatively, in the the right scenario there. Is he going to get $8.25 million a season again? No, he's not that. He's not that player. But could he get every bit of 5 or 6, even potentially 6.5, something like that? Yes, he really could from the Flyers, and possibly he should.
Wouldn't have a problem with that either.
No, and but the budget with having some expensive players like JVR, still making $7 million, and Kevin Hayes making $7 million, it would be tough. So, I think that both sides are going to get a deal done. I hope so. But at the same time, there's a lot of teams out there when that was made clear that they weren't going to hold discussions, it perked up a lot of interest, let's say, and especially from the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators, if you don't know it, Claude Giroux lives in Ottawa in the offseason. And he has a very nice house there that, him and his family reside in. They go there, at the end of the season and stay there. That is their hometown, essentially now. As much as Philly has been a part of their lives, Giroux is still Canadian, and he returns there every year. So when a hometown team sits there and maybe is willing to offer you tons of more money than, say, the Flyers, and let's be honest here, Philadelphia media hasn't really been that nice to Claude over the years. They put a lot of blame on him, and so you got to think that in the back of his mind, if somebody was going to offer him a big contract this season, he might at least be willing to listen to it. And if he just does decide to go, the Flyers need to be ready. Giroux is 12th all time right now in NHL points for active players. And, I think the only ones that he can't touch are Thornton, Ovechkin, Crosby, and maybe Kane by the time he hangs it up. So that's saying a lot. This guy produces a lot. So a team like Ottawa that's struggling but has a lot of young stars, Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, Thomas Chabot, and tons of prospects. They have been drafting well for years.
Oh, yeah.
But Riley Gregg, Tyler Boucher, who's one of my favorite players from this last draft that I wanted to see the Flyers draft.
Yeah, we talked about him.
Robbie Javenti, defenseman Jake Sanderson from Team USA, along with Tyler Clevin. Defenseman-wise, then you got great goaltenders like Felipe Gustafsson, who played a little last season and this season already, and Mads Sagergaard. Big goalie. And all those guys are really going to be ready sooner rather than later. So would Giroux leave the Flyers a potential playoff team to go to there? Who knows? Who knows what's going through Giroux's mind? But you got to be ready. So, that's why I looked into a couple unrestricted free agents, and I don't know if you want to comment or ask me some questions on those individuals, but could possibly replace them. So,
well, look, and this is why I love because you always try to keep us thinking, keep us on our toes, and planning right now for when Giroux might not be around is not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
And even if he does resign, you know what I mean? It's really only going to be for another 2 years, maybe 3, maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Depending. The guy's, he's going to be, 34 to start the next contract. That's not terribly, that's getting up there in NHL years, but he surely doesn't necessarily play like he's that age.
No, I don't think so. He's really had a fire lit under him this season, with the additions that they made. I think he's revitalized almost.
You point that out in your article about saying that was one of the main reasons why he was like, look, I get it. I'm with you. But how about if we just let me play? Right? And then after we let me play, then we sit down and we talk.
And that's the thing, too. That's the scary part. He's got a bunch of points this season already. And is he going to play his way right out of here? Is he gonna? I think he takes a home team discount. I hope he does for the Flyers. He's been here forever. But if somebody's offering him $2-3 million and you're looking to retire maybe next season or extra, who knows? Who knows? So there's 3 potential players this offseason that I think we should take a look at.
I think we should too, and that was part of what I wanted to get into as the second part of this, because I really feel these are some very important questions that are going to need to be answered within the next 4 months. Okay. And it doesn't seem like it's that far away because you're looking at the hockey season now and it's like, well, wow, man, the Flyers haven't even only played 15 games yet, and you're already talking about Giroux being out and all, but okay, well, in 4 months, what's 4 months from now? Right?
You have to plan ahead, guys.
That's
you have to plan ahead. A GM starts thinking about the next draft the day after the draft. Okay. We don't
so
see.
Do we, actually.
We don't see exactly. We don't see or we don't hear a lot of the back, ground stuff. But you have to be thinking of that. You have to manage your funds, your cap space even when you're making signings now for the next 3 years, you have to look ahead to see where this is all going to fit in. You can't just live and die by the season and then start to think about next season after game 82. You have to start thinking about that. And like you hinted at earlier, Giroux is 33, going to be 34 years old next year.
Yeah.
Who takes over as captain? My vote would be Sean Couturier.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Kevin Hayes has kind of been often injured right now, and although I think he could brunt the load, I don't know. I think Couturier's been there a long time, but who replaces Giroux? Is Farabee looks to be a bright spot and a young talent, but is he going to be the next Claude Giroux, the next Lindros, the next Bobby Clark? I don't think so. Is TK going to be that guy? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
He's relatively a good player, but I don't think he's an elite talent.
Yeah, I think Cam Atkinson is one of the guys that they brought in because I think they were kind of looking ahead. Right. They need to have a
couple years younger. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what exactly. And he's more of a shooter.
Yes.
Than what Giroux is. You know what I mean? Yeah. But in your article, you talk about 3 potential players that the Flyers could look at. That could be the guys that could, come in and be, take over or fill in that production or fill in for those points. Maybe not in the leadership role that Giroux had. Obviously he's the captain and all that other stuff. But talk to me about Palat from Tampa Bay that you mentioned.
So sure. Andre Palat is a player with a lot of experience here. I think he's a very underrated player. Yeah, we talked about this previously when I compared Tampa Bay's roster to the Flyers. I think last season, and some of the differences that are gross.
We did the plus minus.
Yeah.
Comparison between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia.
And he's a huge plus player. So. He's going to be a free agent this year, and simply, after winning 2 cups back to back, Tampa Bay has paid people, and they have had to let players go. And why I think they would love to keep Palat. I really think that he could possibly see some big money being handed out to him. Now, he's 6 foot tall. He's 194 pounds. He's a left winger like Giroux is playing nowadays.
Same size,
same height. He's 30.
Same age.
He's younger.
He's 3 years younger.
He's 30, so you're gonna potentially maybe get him for 5 years. Still not somebody. Maybe 25 to 27 that you would want to maybe take on that big role. But hey, if you suddenly have Giroux leave, you got to fill him with somebody that's going to be productive. Now, this Czech-born player, the big part of it for me is he's played in 400 less games than Giroux. All right, I don't know about you, but I mean, I'm no spring chicken anymore, and I feel it in the morning when I stand up and creak and crack and everything like that. And
playing 1 game,
right? And this many games under their belt, I think 400 games difference is going to be a lot. Palat's got a lot of tread still left on those tires, and he's a great player. He's simply a great player. He may not score as many points as Giroux if brought in, but he's that 200-foot player that would fit this system, this AV system. Also, he's a guy that is going to be utilizing great work ethic, and a high hockey IQ there to really be in the best position. If you watch any game tape on him, as I showed in the article, you can really see him follow the play in and just kind of go unminced or, unseen really, and just slide on in and score a goal. It's really nice.
Very
But
Giroux-esque.
right, he can do that, and he, like I said, he may not score as many points, but he's very good defensively as well. Where Giroux is only a plus 38 for his career, this guy is 133 plus player. Okay, a plus 133. All right, so he's not going to hurt you. All right, he like we talked about before with MacEwen, doesn't take bad penalties. All right, I think out of 10 seasons in the NHL, Pallet only has 185 PIMs. All right.
Wow.
That's saying
that's
something.
only like he's got
something.
how many years? 10 years?
10 years in.
Right, that's 18 minutes, 18.5 minutes a year.
Really, I had more than that.
That's like Lady Bing territory there.
I've had more than 18 penalty minutes in one game before playing goalie. All right, so this is saying something. All right, so this season his contract. Huh? What?
One game.
Yeah. Right, and then suspensions to go with it. But we'll go on.
Buddy.
But listen, this guy's only getting paid $5.3 million right now. All right. He's got 4 goals, 5 assists, and 9 points in 13 games when I wrote this article. He's a very, very good player. And, even better in the playoffs, mind you. Okay. In the playoffs, he steps up big time. Of course, he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings that he would bring to Philadelphia if signed. And has that experience. Over 115 games of playoff experience. He's scored 37 goals, 36 assists for 73 playoff points while being a plus 25 in the postseason. All right. This guy is a perfect addition if Giroux were to leave for Couturier and say Konechny or Atkinson to play with. And on a line, he's going to make those players even better than he. He's going to set up Atkinson. He would set up Konechny all day long, and he can score as well. So just a great talent that I think is one of the most underrated players in the league.
I'm with you. I mean, look, we're also going to talk about another player that okay. We can dream, can't we? I mean, we're talking about Johnny Hockey here. I mean, let's face it. You point out a lot of good stats, a lot of good reasons why he would be a perfect fit in Philadelphia. We all know he would be a perfect fit here in Philadelphia. We all know he would play the perfect game here in Philadelphia. We've seen what he can bring to the table. I don't think we're going to be able to afford this guy. I really don't.
And here's telling it. I mean, this kid is a Philadelphia prospect. He's born in Salem, New Jersey, and his family still resides here. I think he bought a ton of tickets to get his family in when they just came in and played in Philly. Okay. Yeah. And you can see, maybe he didn't score a goal, but he was electric out there. He was all over that ice, and I think the Flyers set up a great game plan for him and really tried to shut him down as best they could, but he's still got his shots. He's still got his chances. And, he's very elusive. Yes, he's only 5'9", but what a heck of a player. Yeah. I think that, he's a little younger. He's 28. So that's, quite a difference from Giroux and even Pallet, that other side of 30, says something. But he's different than both Pallet and Giroux, where they play a more of a similar type game. I think Johnny Hockey really goes in there and, he's a great dangler. He's great with that stick. handling skills, and he's one of the best in the league to do it. Maybe since Dasuk retired, and he can just sneak really behind the defense and get lost because he's so small. He can just really get lost in that defense. And, this season, I think at the time I wrote this article, he had 14 games in, he had 4 goals, 11 assists for 15 points. He was leading the team in assists, as you heard JJ tell us. And, he has over 500 points already, and and he's only played 534 games at the time when I wrote this piece. So, I mean, he's almost a point per game player. He's a former Hobie Baker Award winner, of course. But the big thing is, the Flames are already talking to him. They've already signed Tkachuk to a big deal. All right, he's getting paid a lot of money. And you have some key pieces there in Calgary that they want to keep. Now, they've been talking a major extension with Johnny, but it hasn't got signed yet either, and for a reason. If you can think back when Sutter came in there, their coach, now he really was dogging, Johnny really bad, and really wasn't impressed with his play. And I think he has done a lot better on the defensive side this season and really stepped it up. But I don't know. There's still some hope out there, Flyer fans. Especially if we talk about getting rid of a guy like JVR's contract, maybe for a Phil Kessel who's on the trade market. You free up that $7 million a year early, something like that. So
let's see. I would rather not bring in a $7 million old guy for a $7 million old guy if I can help it.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean?
Not
that I have any questions about that per se, but I really just, if I'm trying to dump cap, I'm not trying to bring in somebody that's gonna not, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things.
Yeah. So I don't know. A lot of people, this would be the time if you're gonna bring Johnny in. The Flyers have been known to be looking in the past when he signed other deals and stuff with Calgary.
Especially if Giroux goes.
But especially if Giroux goes, they're not going to have that $7-8 million, $9 million salary for Johnny. But there's something for a home team. He wants to be a Flyer. He says he wants to play for the Flyers at some point in his career, but I agree. I think this is a little far-fetched at this time. I'd rather see us get a bigger, stronger player that is going to be able to handle himself in the East. Although Calgary does play a very physical game, as we just saw.
They have handled the East pretty well.
Yeah, and but it wouldn't be my first choice. Let's just say that. Phenomenal player, but he's one I think you got to take a look at, and maybe if Giroux goes, you make a call to see what it would take, and just inquire on it, But he wouldn't potentially be my first pick for sure.
Hello, Mr. Giroux. Yes. What would it take for you to come to Philadelphia?
Right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks. Really appreciate that, and best of luck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be great. Right. We could do that. But you also do mention another player here that I also think kind of has that nice flavor of fitting in. Has that same kind of similar game. Kind of has that same kind of little bit of edge. Kind of. Talking a little bit about Philip Forsberg here from Nashville, potentially being coming in here. We're not talking about any relation to the foot Forsberg here in any way, shape, or form. And I have to admit now, you mention him.
He's interesting. Let's leave it at that. He's very interesting. He's an electric player. If you guys don't get to see a whole lot of Nashville games because they're in the Western Conference or whatever, he is an amazing talent. But there's a couple of things that we'll get into. He's 27, so on that good side of 30 is for sure.
Yeah.
He's a left winger like this, everybody is in this article. And he's been a talent for Nashville. He was traded there, but he's really took off down there for sure. But the Predators GM, he's really made a lot of changes, and he's really went out there and said that, he basically considers the team in a rebuild, a restructure mode. And, he signed Mattias Ekholm, defenseman, who he had on a trade block for forever.
Yeah.
And really signed him to a big deal of $6.25 million annually this offseason. And I think that really perturbed Philip. I thought he thinks he would have got that deal, and he didn't. And with Ryan Ellis leaving and Victor Arvidsson leaving as well this season, that they're in a little bit of a rebuild. And I think Nashville's okay with that. They had their time. They had some good runs. They had some great teams, but a lot of guys are getting long in the tooth, and they want to do something a little different. And I can respect that. So, this guy is a former 30-goal scorer. All right. He can light it up. He is electric. And definitely if you watch some highlights like that are in my article, you'll see that. He deserves every bit of that $6 million that he is getting currently. But in saying that, he has been a bit of the injury bug. It kind of scares us, but for the Flyers too, it leaves it open as I don't think he's going to get that big time money from a team that he thinks he was going to get. He is hurt again this season, and with an upper body injury. So it's a bit scary, especially when we just bought in on Ellis and traded for him from Nashville, and he's played in 3 or 4 games for us so far? 5 maybe, yeah.
5 maybe.
Came back for 1 game and is
now he's on IR.
Right back out. So it's interesting this season, and just a couple of games. I think 9 games played. Forsberg has scored 4 goals, 3 assists for 7 points. He's still showing that he has the skill of that first-round pick that Washington, used on him. But it's different. I don't know. It's a big question mark with his injury history, and I think that's why Nashville isn't going to possibly re-sign him. Yeah. But he does have all the intangibles. If you watch him, he can skate. He can stick handle. He possesses a great shot. He draws players to him when he is out on the ice. People pay attention. Yeah. And if he can prove he's healthy, he's a spark plug in the lineup for sure. And
maybe Flyers can get him cheaper.
And I think that's, maybe a reality of it is maybe the Flyers could maybe give him a $5 million, give him a year or 2 deal. Maybe he could prove himself, stay healthy. And take that chance on him. But we'll have to see if they're willing to after this whole Ellis ordeal. Of course, over the years, the Predators have proved to be great trade partners. We've had Ellis, of course, we had Timonen, Hartnell over the years. Got some great players from them, and not had to pay too terrible much to get them. So maybe even a deadline deal could be had for him. I think he's going to be on his way out before the end of the season. Just basically because, why would they want to lose him for nothing? Yeah. So, and I think he's unhappy there after not getting a deal this offseason. So we'll have to see. Like we said at the beginning of this discussion, I think Claude Giroux does resign, but if you're a good GM, just in case, if you're a good GM, you have to be pondering this type of stuff. And like Steel said, I want you guys to be thinking. It's great to be a fan and turn on the game and watch it. But if you want to be, educate yourself a little bit more, that's why I'm here, to kind of bring the stats, to kind of keep you thinking. This is a big question mark right now. I think a lot of people are focused, like you said, on the team right now. They're fun to watch and everything, and they're only 15 games in. Why talk about the offseason? Why talk about next season? If you're Chuck Fletcher, I think you're a little worried right now.
Yeah.
You did great to bring some guys in, but you're still going to have an offseason where you're going to have to resign Ristolainen. You're going to have to resign Claude Giroux.
You're going to have to get another backup goaltender.
You're going to have to find another backup goaltender. Is ours now, Jones, going to be enough? Is he going to continue playing, pretty good?
With him too, by the
way.
Well,
I think he struggled with the Stars. Overall, he's had a great season.
He didn't play that well in front of him either.
They didn't. They came out kind of flat. We'll have to see. The whole fourth line needs to be re-signed. You only have 3 defensemen signed for next year. Yeah. So there's a lot of work this offseason. As much as Chuck did this offseason, next offseason is no slouch. Yeah, it's going to have to be a lot of movement and shaking as well. So
I think if we could try what you suggested in your article 2 weeks ago on the show, we talked about that JVR move. I know you talked about Kessel, but I would like to just see JVR moved, for some picks or for some.
Well, it's going to be hard to eat. It's going to be hard to eat $7 million, and it's for 2 seasons, and that's why I suggested Kessel, because
I know.
Yep. And he's only got 1 year left this year. And next season we would have $7 million in cap space to spend. So that's what you're going to get at this point. I don't think there's that many teams out there willing to eat $7 million and are going to give you a first round pick for JVR. I think that ship has sailed. So, I think you're going to have to take on some contract, or maybe possibly even more than one, or eat some to make that deal happen. So if the Flyers are, finding themselves that they are desperate for some cap space, with either signing Giroux or potentially signing one of these 3 players, if Giroux leaves, to kind of fill that void once he does. I think you're going to have to make a trade like that.
I agree.
So
100%.
We'll have to see.
Listen, we could probably talk about this for, hours, right? At least, right? But in the end, if G does fly, the team will need to have some replacements and pronto. I mean, that's just how it has to go. So, with that being said, I'm going to use one of your lines. We would like to thank FlyersNittyGritty.com and the whole team for all their support and for posting the show on the site. Hockey Writers Inc. salute for that. Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to make a major announcement here in case y'all haven't been checking it out. Check this out.
That's quite fancy there.
That is some fancy schmancy swag. That's right, folks. We'll be getting this out on the website here real soon. You'll be able to get your Hockey Writers Inc. t-shirts. Oh, yeah. Got this in heather gray and black, right? So be looking out real soon for that. And got a major announcement coming in December. So, yeah, man, all kinds of great things going on here. So stick around to the Hockey Writers Inc. You can follow me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. You can check us out on the web at www.steelflyers.com/link/Hockey Writers Inc. Lance, Any word on upcoming?
Nothing as of yet. If you guys are going to be at the games for Tampa Bay and the Bruins, I will be there. So I will see you.
Boom,
maybe walking around the concourse or whatever.
In the game.
So I hope to watch a couple of good games and maybe develop a couple of good stories over the weekend to really sit down and write this next
about some live
week,
action games, right?
Yeah, some live action games, always good. So hope to see you guys there. Feel free if you see me walking around to stop and talk to me or whatever. I'm always open to talking to some fans and stuff. So have at it and be looking on that great website to score some swag.
For sure, man. And where can we follow you, and where can we get all your great articles and all your great stuff that we can look forward to?
Sure. You can always follow me on Twitter at LNGBASSIST, the numbers 39. You can catch all my articles on flyersnittygritty.com. You can catch them on SteelFlyers.com. You can catch them on Bleacher Report. Just about anywhere. Flyers all over the Flyers Facebook groups. You can get up with me there as well. I'll shoot some messages back and forth to you if you have any points you want to talk about on my articles. I'm there all over, guys. Please, send some questions in for the future shows if you have them. We would love to answer them.
That'd be great.
As that as well. So, just look forward to this upcoming weekend and can't wait for next week's show. Let's get a couple of good games. Got some good teams coming in to play. So hopefully we play strong like we did with Carolina.
And with against the Flames too, man. That was a good game.
For sure. I really enjoyed watching that game against the Flames. That was good old Flyers hockey right there.
Exactly. More like that, please. More like that, please. And more like the great writer extraordinaire, Lance Green. Thank you all very much for watching the Hockey Writers Inc. We will be back next time with another great episode. We'll catch you all on the flip side. Enjoy the hockey, folks. Take care.
See you guys.